Hey everybody, it's Joanne from Wholesome WordZ and my great friend Craig Carlisle. We're here again with another edition of Wholesome WordZ, and this time it's ThanksLiving. Let's be thankful about we're living. A lot of
I got my Christmas shirt on though.
Did you put your Christmas shirt? Oh my gosh, is that the Grinch?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm
feeling the Grinch right now. That's
You're
all.
feeling Grinchy, huh?
Yeah, man.
I don't know what to do with you. But yeah. So last month we had it was called Breakthrough. And from there, I really kind of launched something different and something more creative. And so each month I've invited a featured guest who we will share the platform to learn more about who they are as an artist and what are some of the big things that they're doing. So today, we've invited Cynthia Fields. She's a friend and my creative buddy on so many different levels. She's been on Wholesome WordZ before as one of the artists that shared her work, but this time we're going to kind of focus in on some of the things that she's sharing. And so, as always, if you want to jump in and maybe do a shout out or a post or something like that, you can just shout out and put your post. And you know what? We'll see it. If you have a question, maybe we'll answer your question for our featured guests. So we're real excited about being on both YouTube and Facebook Live. So welcome, everybody. I'm excited. I've been doing this since Juneteenth. Just kind of the spirit within me. I'm doing Wholesome Word events prior to COVID, and some people kind of inspired me to try this virtual expression. And so here I am, a lot of prodding to do all kinds of different things. And so here I am, and I'm excited to get started. And so as always, I have my other partner in crime, and that's Craig Carlisle from The Framework. He has a Christian hip hop radio station live stream on 4 different streaming platforms and radio broadcasts. And so you can find him on Facebook, Instagram. What else, Craig?
We're on 102.5 FM and in Marietta, California. Also on WKBY 1080 AM out of Chatham, Virginia. The Northern California Truth FM app, and on San Diego GospelRadio.com. Looking for more places, breaking out more and more and more in 2021.
Right. So we're growing leaps and bounds. There's always something new and different. But without any further ado, we're going to get started with my favorite. And if you've been watching, I always love to start with this particular video called If I Ever by Preston Perry.
Lord, if I ever forget how to praise you, let my tongue forget language. Let my ears forget how the ocean sounds when the currents violently collide against the rocks along the shoreline. And let me forget the morning, where the silence sings a symphony of peace that only you can orchestrate, and where your mercy is new and in its sweetest form. But remind me of the day when I was thirsty, in need of the type of water that will unparch my soul forever, and your grace came in and flooded this dying desert of a man. Remind me of the days when darkness followed me so much, the moon knew me by name, but your voice, still as a morning ocean, called me out of midnight into your marvelous light. Let not my heart be like Israel, who forgot that they saw you see in half, to lead them to a land where slavery knew not their names, and freedom sung them into a clear sky. But help me to remember your goodness, that your love is the only thing that matters when all else fails. Remind me that your brutal, bloody, beaten body was bruised on the cross for my sins, that you died in my place. When my pride is high, remind me that you lowered yourself to die for my sins. Lord, if I ever forget how to praise you, let me forget everything that has ever existed. But help me to remember you, because in you all things exist. We exist to make your name known. Because when everything passes away, you will be the only thing that truly matters.
Whew. Yeah, he will be the only thing that truly matters. I love that piece, and it speaks volumes to what Wholesome Words is all about. So I'm grateful to be able to do this for his namesake. Some people have been asking me, well, why am I doing this? And so this is Wholesome Words Live is my peaceful artistic movement and a protest to encourage the storytellers of our time to share some wholesome words for a time like this. And so our goal is to organize global artistic peaceful protests like this. So if you're interested, I'm gonna bring Craig back on in here because we're gonna do this this kind of thing that we've created called Words and Beats. Craig, could you share something on that?
Well, it goes together like a hi-hat and a snare.
There you go.
So if you're a spoken word artist, visual artist, if you make beats, songs, or if you just feel that you have something to express that's positive, of course, you can always send us an email, and I'm looking for a 1 minute presentation on that to express that, and it'll air on an episode of The Framework or an episode of Wholesome Words.
And so here's our promo.
Spoken word is an element of hip-hop. They go together like a hi-hat and snare. So does Wholesome Words and The Framework, and we've come together to present Words and Beats of the Week. If you're a poet, spoken word artist, producer, or musician, email your 1 minute submission to wordsandbeats@theframework.com. If your submission is chosen, it will air on both Wholesome Words' social media and an episode of The Framework.
You're in The Framework.
The Framework and Wholesome Words together, Words and Beats. So again, if you'd like to submit things, just send your information to us, Words and Beats of the Week. And you can see the email at the bottom, wordsandbeats@theframework.com. Let us know, and we'll be happy to do it and share that information. So moving on, we have our first artist. She's a dear friend of mine who is Miss Andrea Babina. She is a disciple of Jesus Christ and has been married for 10 years, 10 months, well, maybe 10 years, 11 months, and 27 days. A mother of two children, one boy, one girl, ages 2 and 6. She graduated from Cal Baptist University with a bachelor's in theology, and she is a domestic engineer. So she's learning her creative skills and widening her plethora of different things, and I'm super proud of her. And so she submitted this time, God, you are my anchor.
God, you are my anchor. Yes, a remarkable Father you are. When I was in my mother's womb, you created me in the likeness of who you are. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. You know every hair on my head where my beauty is betrayed. When I was born, you held me in your arms through every storm. Your love is unconditional as you kept me going strong. You are my anchor as you've always been there with me all along. As you looked over me throughout the years as I grew up, you always belonged. Yes, I made mistakes, I continued to sin a lot and I ran away. But I always felt your love draw me back to you always. Time and time again, I continue to rededicate my life back to you, but God, you never left me, you always stayed true. You're my rock, my fortress, my every need. You direct my footsteps as you continue to lead. I'm in awe of the creations you built with your hands, as your thoughts of me outnumber the grains of sand. I'm blessed and highly favored when I worship you as my maker. Your Holy Spirit fills me with consuming fire. At times, this journey in my life becomes dire, but I smile and laugh as you protect me from the devil's attacks as they expire. As you always made a way out of no way for me, I continue to tell my story to the world, my testimony, as I celebrate its jubilee. I have spiritually matured into a young woman of God as you see me today, as you carry me through thick and thin along the way. Yet, even still, when you blessed me with my soulmate when he proposed, I held on to you so strong as your love continues to unfold. When I got married, I was struggling, just losing my mom so soon as she passed on. I was hurt, but I had to move on. Yes, you're my anchor, Lord, as I felt so secure in your loving arms. I am blessed that you gave me more time with my dad. While 7 years later you called him home, I was truly sad. I'm grateful that my daughter got to spend more time with her grandfather who she adored. Now I continue to teach her about you, her heavenly Father, my Lord. I cherish every moment in your wonderful presence as your peace consumes me with your essence. I could still feel your spirit no matter which place I traveled. You are omnipresent no matter what time of the hour. I'm truly dazzled. No matter how late the hour, I talk to you in prayer. Oh God, you always listen and answer me because you always care. You are my heavenly Father, and I'm your beloved child. My anchor God, you will always be. I rest in you because I'm free. Resting in your saving grace, I'm surrounded by your yes, my good God, that's you.
And that was Andi Babina. Excellent job. Keep them coming. Andi started submitting some of her creative works at least about 3 events ago. And so she's finding her footage. And so I'm really super proud that she's reaching out to share the gifts and talents that God has given her. So good job. Keep it up. And I look forward to working with you. Yeah. So we talked about words and beats, a submission. And so the one that we have for this week is one of my favorites. She's probably a pioneer in spoken word, at least Christian spoken word. And her name is Amina Brown, and it's one of my favorites. So if you know me, here it is. He is here.
He is here, right here in this room, in your heart. He is near, nearer than breath, heartbeat, nearer than you are to you, closer than second chance or next opportunity, closer than tonight or yesterday. He is real, realer than touch, see, hear, smell, or taste, realer than reality. He is our reality. He is present, like space, wind, time, silence, night. He is waiting, like creation, like words on the tip of tongue, like songs that have yet to be sung. He is beauty, oranges, blues, every hue, every shade, sunset and sunrise. Whisper his name. He is holy, different, cannot be touched, explained, like sweet seconds of prayer, like grandmother on knees, wood floor bare. He is old hymns. He is the extending of limbs, stretched across trees, stripes to heal disease. He is son, distinctly three, distinctly one, the only wise, the only resurrector of lives. He is king. No earthly throne can house, no amount of elegant words can espouse. He is moment and voice, power of choice, in word and deed, in fruit and seed, nailed hands, nailed feet, innocent wounds that bleed. He is believe and trust. He is enough. He is all. He is call and purpose. Everything that we can sacrifice, he's worth it and more, much more. Our good deeds are mere pennies. We'll never even the score. He is behold and wow. He is who, what, when, why, how. He puts on the show. He's the one we come to see. He is soul's cry and sinner's plea. He is the epitome. He is the one no one can light a candle to or come within a 1,000,000-foot pole of. He is above. He is a father's love. He is maker of ways, ancient of days, has no fear, have no fear. God is here.
And that was Amina Brown. And so now, Craig, you still out there? I know he is.
I went on home. Oh,
Oh,
I am at home.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready for this?
For what? What are you talking about? The Grinch? I'm a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
You got the next one?
Clint. Yeah, I got Clint. But you always do such a great job with the intros because I don't recall the name of his piece. So I would make a mistake if I would do the full introduction.
Okay, we'll do the introduction. The name of the piece is How to Raise a Black Son in America.
You would think I'd remember that, right? But there's too many of them, just taking my brain away.
I understand.
Next up, Clint with How to Raise a Black Young Man in America.
Growing up, I didn't always understand why my parents made me follow the rules that they did. Like, why did I really have to mow the lawn? Why was homework really that important? Why couldn't I put jelly beans in my oatmeal? My childhood was abound with questions like this. Normal things about being a kid and realizing that sometimes it was best to listen to my parents even when I didn't exactly understand why. And it's not that they didn't want me to think critically. Their parenting always sought to reconcile the tension between having my siblings and I understand the realities of the world while ensuring that we never accepted the status quo as inevitable. I came to realize that this, in and of itself, was a very purposeful form of education. One of my favorite educators, Brazilian author and scholar Paulo Freire, speaks quite explicitly about the need for education to be used as a tool for critical awakening and shared humanity. In his most famous book, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, he states, "No one can be authentically human while he prevents others from being so." Now, I've been thinking a lot about this lately, this idea of humanity, and specifically who in this world is afforded the privilege of being perceived as fully human. Over the course of the past several months, the world has watched as unarmed Black men and women have had their lives taken at the hands of police and vigilante. These events and all that has transpired after them have brought me back to my own childhood. The decisions that my parents made about raising a Black boy in America that growing up I didn't always understand in the way that I do now. I think of how hard it must have been, how profoundly unfair it must have felt for them to feel like they had to strip away parts of my childhood just so that I could come home at night. For example, I think of how one night when I was around 12 years old on an overnight field trip to another city, my friends and I bought super soakers and turned the hotel parking lot into our own water-filled battle zone. We hid behind cars, running through the darkness that lay between the streetlights, boundless laughter ubiquitous across the pavement. But within 10 minutes, my father came outside, grabbed me by my forearm, and led me into our room with an unfamiliar grip. Before I could say anything, tell him how foolish he had made me look in front of my friends, he derided me for being so naive, looked me in the eye, fear consuming his face, and said, "Son, I'm sorry, but you can't act the same as your white friends. You can't pretend to shoot guns. You can't run around in the dark. You can't hide behind anything other than your own teeth." I know now how scared he must have been, how easily I could have fallen into the empty of the night, that some man would mistake this water for a good reason to wash all of this away. These are the sorts of messages I've been inundated with my entire life, Always keep your hands where they can see them. Don't move too quickly. Take off your hood when the sun goes down. My parents raised me and my siblings in an armor of advice, an ocean of alarm bells so someone wouldn't steal the breath from our lungs, so that they wouldn't make a memory of this skin, so that we could be kids, not casket or concrete. And it's not because they thought it would make us better than anyone else. It's simply because they wanted to keep us alive. All of my Black friends were raised with the same message, the talk given to us when we became old enough to be mistaken for a nail ready to be hammered to the ground, when people made our melanin synonymous with something to be feared. But what does it do to a child to grow up knowing that you cannot simply be a child, that the whims of adolescence are too dangerous for your breath, that you cannot simply be curious, that you are not afforded the luxury of making a mistake, that someone's implicit bias might be the reason you don't wake up in the morning? But this cannot be what defines us. Because we had parents who raised us to understand that our bodies weren't meant for the backside of a bullet, but for flying kites and jumping rope and laughing until our stomachs burst. We had teachers who taught us how to raise our hands in class and not just to signal surrender, and that the only thing we should give up is the idea that we aren't worthy of this world. So when we say that Black lives matter, it's not because others don't. It's simply because we must affirm that we are worthy of existing without fear, when so many things tell us we are not. I want to live in a world where my son will not be presumed guilty the moment he is born, where a toy in his hand isn't mistaken for anything other than a toy. And I refuse to accept that we can't build this world into something new, some place where a child's name doesn't have to be written on a t-shirt or a tombstone, where the value of someone's life isn't determined by anything other than the fact that they had lungs, a place where every single one of us can breathe. Thank you.
That was Clint Smith. He is amazing. I love his work. He does a lot of other things, but you know, you can look him up. He has a few more other great pieces, some other great wholesome words. And so now is the time for our featured guest, Miss Cynthia Carlisle Fields. Cynthia is an award-winning author, writer from San Diego, California, and a graduate of San Diego State University. Cynthia is an author of My Mother's Shoes, and most recently, Messages to the Woman in the Mirror. She is also a mentor to aspiring writers and hosted a writers conference last year with plans of hosting another one this year, but it was canceled because of COVID. Okay. Cynthia is a co-creator and producer on my right hand arm with the Organics Collective. If you haven't seen this amazing spoken word group, she is my co-creator there. And we work together, have several projects. Actually, we were hoping to do something in May, but again, you know, COVID was being COVID. And so we work together with some other great other up and coming creatives. So currently, Cynthia is working on her first children's book and continues to her work on fan fiction projects, the Derek Morgan Chronicles, and the Book of Hondo. Let's welcome my friend, my partner, Cynthia Fields. Cynthia, good to have you here. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. This is really happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome.
It is. Okay, so everyone that's out there who may be a fan like I am, this platform that we're using, if you're watching, we can respond to you. So if you may have some questions for Cynthia or myself or Craig, just drop it in your post and we will be able to respond, and maybe your question may make it to the broadcast. So give us a try. But we're gonna move forward with Cynthia. Cynthia, we work so much together. I know what you do, girl, but I don't think they know what you do. So could you share why you do what you do?
I think it's really an issue. I don't feel like I have a choice but to write, because you're a creative. Creatives have all this stuff inside of us that won't let us rest until we get it out. So I write. I think there's a lot that needs to be said, especially to women. Not that I'm an authority on anything. It's just that my message right now is geared to women and their issues, because a lot of times we think that we're out here alone, that whatever we're going through is just us going through it. We're the only ones going through it. No one else has ever gone through it or going through it. So with the pieces that I've written, in particular with the book that's out now, Messages to the Woman in the Mirror, it's really a message to women. It's conversations that we should be having with ourselves, to just kind of remind ourselves that we are enough. We don't have to be anyone else but who we are.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so good. And we don't really hear that often. It when you were talking, it took me back to Organics, The Making of a Woman, a Poetic Experience.
Right.
And the responses that we got from that spoken word piece was finally a voice that hadn't really been mentioned or said or anything like that, but there was somebody that actually talked about what's going on from so many different perspectives. And I think that's one of the collective geniuses that I think, working together with you and Arwen Jameson, another amazing artist. She has some phenomenal pieces, and so hopefully I'll be able to bring her on so you can actually hear her genius in reaching women specifically.
Right.
So other than all the other things that you do, what kind of up and coming projects you mentioned a children's book that may be up and coming?
The children's book is near completion. Just doing the final touches on that, and I'm also writing a novel. And so that will also be finished by the end of the year. So I'm super busy. Still planning to do another writers conference, trying to just figure out dates and all that good stuff that always has to happen first, the planning, but that's still going to happen again. And just staying busy, being a grandma, being excited and happy about that.
Yeah. All right, Grandma. Love it. I love it. Okay, so I don't know if you do have a favorite for spoken word artists, but I figured I'd ask anyway.
Well, it's funny because the very first gentleman that you played as you opened, that he's probably one of my favorites.
Preston Perry.
I think he's the same person that does the Gospel in 4 Minutes.
No, that's Propaganda.
Propaganda. I like him as well. And so that, and then that would be it. There's so many of them out there.
I know.
Really good.
That's kind of like my new little hobby that I love it all. Okay, so when I started Wholesome WordZ live, you submitted a piece, Two Sisters with Sons. Do you want to kind of share where you were at that time and what to fuel the energy to focus this particular one?
Well, I wrote that a while ago, and it's funny because it was written before George Floyd. But George Floyd's death was just another of those incidents that, as a mother, it just really breaks you inside when you see, every time you turn around, someone's child is being murdered senselessly. So I was probably at a really low point, because that's where we birth our best work, it seems, as writers, as creatives, at those points of pain. And so it was my soul just crying out for mothers of sons. And so that's what became of it. And then with the help of my son, who actually did put the video together for me, that's what you'll see next.
Okay, so it has an endearing piece to both sides of the creativeness, and then something that has to do with a personal love and heart.
Yes.
Okay, everyone, sit back. This is an amazing piece. We're going to listen to Two Sisters with Sons.
To my sisters with sons, my heart breaks as I'm sure yours does as well. Our hearts pound nervously each time he leaves the house as he says, "I'll be back." Our mother bear instincts rise within us as we watch our cub walk out of sight or back out of the driveway. The ringing of the phone is more than that. It's a warning shot to duck for cover or run to find that which we have raised from our womb. Sisters, we find sleep elusive now because it is open season on our sons, husbands, brothers, daughters, and we fear that goodbye really means forever. That kiss we planted on their cheek just might be the last expression of love we get because the world desires to squash them. When did it become okay to kill our babies recorded live to be replayed before the world? That it's just okay, no sorry, no reason, no accountability or blame. Yet, we are the ones standing accused for the state of affairs that made it comfortable to snatch the life breath from that which meant everything to us. So, my sisters, what do we do now? How do we continue to bury our dead? How do we turn and continue to accept that the ground has reclaimed the dust from the dust that God gathered and spit upon, molded and shaped in his image, then breathed life into, placed the future in that same child's hands to carry, only to be snuffed out by the arrogance, hatred, meted out by a bullet and a chokehold? I don't have the answers, but I have a heart that is full, splitting at the seams because it can no longer hold the tears, the pain. What is that thing called justice? My knees are sore, and I fear my prayers will haunt me in my dreams. We are the mothers of the slain, the innocent boys, the conquerors laid at the altar, sacrificed, killed by unfriendly fire. I see the blood on the murderer's hands, the stain soon to be a book deal or a storyline to boost ratings. My son, your son, God's gift. I waved goodbye this morning. My heart sank when he promised he'd be back.
Wow. Woo! Gotta take a moment for that one. Woo! Girl, that one always gets me. That gets me. Yeah. So poignant, so to the point, speaking volumes, just breaking the bonds of silence. Wow.
Yeah.
Woo. Okay, we're gonna keep going. So, what is your favorite spoken word piece? And share it.
My favorite is a piece that's also in the book, Messages to the Woman in the Mirror, and it's called The Revolutionary. And I'll share it with you. You were feeling revolutionary, so you stepped into my space. I had already seen your shadow as you rounded the corner, and so I readied myself for what was about to come. It could have been anything. I wasn't expecting joy. Funny how I didn't expect joy, but there you were in my space. Doom and gloom had been my comfort zone, and the shadow that had proceeded and announced your arrival was familiar. I assumed it was just bad news. Before I could invite you or deny your true intentions, you stepped across the threshold. I had so many excuses, so many reasons to explain why you really came. Patiently, you waited for me to breathe. You weren't bothered by my fear, dressed in feminine bravado. I saw you see me. You saw me, really saw me, and I was blown away by your fearlessness. Revolutionary. I say because you were willing to do the unthinkable. You were willing to prove a point in my space without my permission. You came to love me, and you did. You loved me despite my resistance, despite my pain. You were strong enough not to be rough. You made me feel soft and not weak. The war raged within me even as you brought me peace. I expected you to leave. You didn't. You didn't leave. Time passed and you stayed. I wanted to ask why, even though I meant when. Until death takes me, you whispered in my ear. I hadn't spoken, yet you'd heard. I'm feeling revolutionary, thankful that God had heard the prayer unspoken, but he created me, and so he knew my true heart. I expected nothing, so undeserving, so needy. God sent you to be a revolutionary, placing you in my space. My heart sings songs of joy. I wasn't expecting you, but you still came. I'm so glad you did, because there's about to be a revolution.
Wow. Nice.
Thank
That's why I love working with you, girl. That is why. Woo, I need a revolution in my life.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just saying. Wow. That's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting how love is an act of revolution.
Yeah, wow.
If we're not used to it,
No.
if our
No,
status
not at all.
quo is misery and unhappiness, it's a revolutionary act at times.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's deep, girl. Girl, that's deep. So do you feel like this is a calling from God on what you do?
I don't know if it's a calling. I would say it definitely writing is my purpose, and I don't know if they're the same thing. Maybe you can clarify that, being, a theologian, as you are, with that degree and that training behind you. Maybe you can clear that up for me. But I just see it as my purpose, and maybe that is same thing as my calling. I do feel that it is why I'm here, to write.
Yeah.
And to be responsible about what I write.
Yeah, they're about the same.
Yeah.
Calling, purpose, why you do what you do, how you communicate, and you talked about love being a revolution, and I think that's what Christ was, a revolution that died on the cross. And so it's interesting as we talk about creatives and where they get their synergy from,
Right.
and how important it is for you to have an outlet or for you to share that purpose that you've discovered. There's a lot of people in life that say they never find what their purpose is, or they're just not sure what their purpose is. And sometimes it's something that you're already doing. And for the creative, it's not like it's a highlighted place. There's not a readily acceptable place for them to share or try or even think that is something that God would call them to be. So the theologian is telling you that it is. And so that's why Wholesome WordZ is where it is right now, because I feel it's a platform for creatives like yourself. And you'll see a couple others that we have here on tonight, that creatives have a place in the body of Christ, and they have a place in the church if you allow it. So they think differently, they feel differently. Sometimes they are not really going to share all that they do because it's not exactly a safe place. So WordZ hopefully becomes that place for people to practice, or, I used to host a thing called Wholesome WordZ Unsung. You remember, Cynthia?
I do.
And there would be people that were working on all kinds of different creative pieces, and they didn't have it all memorized, or they didn't have the dance completely all the way finished, but they just wanted to have that opportunity. And so Wholesome WordZ is like that. And I think as creatives that we help groom the future creatives or others that will be following us on what it is they need to do. So,
and as creatives as well, we, whatever we're doing, even if it's a 9-to-5 job, we find a way to be creative. It's just who we are. Even if it says type a
So
letter,
true. So true.
you may ask us to type a letter, and you might get a novel or a poem or whatever. And so we have to do it. We don't have a choice. We find a way to be creative in every aspect of our life, whether others like it or not. And so that's why a lot of times creatives are not comfortable in the traditional church settings, because we still, our creativity cries out to be a part of worship in a creative way that's not always traditional, because we see the world totally different. And so, so when you're doing traditional church, this traditional worship, you forget that worship looks all different types of ways, sounds different type of ways, comes in different colors and shapes. And so it's hard for us oftentimes find a place for our creative stuff that we have to get out.
Right. Throughout the months of me hosting this, there's been one person, and I kind of think I miss him. I think he's super busy right now, but his name is Ronnie Robles. And if you've been following me, last month, Ronnie shared pieces, and he's a multidisciplinary artist, and he's amazing. So if you want to see what Ronnie did, you can go to either YouTube or Facebook and look in the video section. And he's with the theme called Breakthrough. And so I got a breakthrough with Ronnie, but he shares his visual arts and his experiences. So not only is he a visual artist, he's amazing. He's a spoken word artist. He works with some of the most amazing people to do murals. He's come to churches and done all kinds of different workshops. So you might want to hit him up. But again, he tells the story of him being bored in church, sitting and listening, and he was drawing superheroes. And his mother said, okay, if you're going to sit there, at least draw something related to what the pastor is preaching on. Right. And so he was excited that he didn't get in trouble for drawing. Right. And so then he started to actually listen, and then those pictures took life, and then it became like a whole new different experience for him. And so he listens to the word of God, and then he visually puts together, and then can actually, tell you, what that piece means. And again, like you said, there's so much that creatives have that just don't have that opportunity, because the church is so in a box that when the artist is sitting outside or standing on top of the box, they know that there are very few that understand what they're going through or what they want to do.
Exactly.
So this leads into another piece that you're going to do. Do you love me? Talk about do you love me? Looking for love in all the wrong places.
Right. We all, ladies especially, there's always this one person in our lives that we were like willing to do just about anything, no matter how crazy it is, for him to love you. Not realizing that maybe God did not send him for you, but we're willing to do whatever it takes. And so this is kind of what this piece talks about. And it's called, Do You Love Me? Ripping my heart from my chest, I held it out, offering it, still beating to you. Reluctantly, you took it from my hand and set it on the table. Stunned, I watched you blankly stare back at me as if to say, and? I thought the gift needed no explanation, yet there you were, waiting. I glanced at the beating, dying organ on the table. Each beat slower than the one before. You didn't care. I wanted you to care. You shrugged. It wasn't your heart after all. What did it really matter? I wanted it to matter. My eyes fluttered because that's what the truth does. It makes your eyes flutter. Second looks don't change the truth. My heart was the sacrifice to prove that I loved you. Crazy how I thought that yanking my heart from my chest was all I had to do to hear you say, I love you in return. Your lips remained still, no words uttered on behalf of my dying heart. I wanted you to love me, but you didn't. You couldn't. Yanking my heart from my chest was just another futile act of suicide I'd played over and over, and my heart was the victim. Love does nothing but leave hearts on the table, the spoils of foolishness. There you stood still, standing boldly in my face, waiting for the answer to the question in your eyes. And funny, I realized that I was begging for love from someone that wouldn't even speak, wouldn't part his lips to say what he really felt. My heart was on the table and there was a gaping hole in my chest, and I was dying to hear the words, I love you. Even as my heart continued to slow, I waited as you watched me in silence, mocking me with your stare of, and do you love me? I asked tearfully. I so desperately needed to hear the words before my heart stopped beating. I remember not so long ago feeling so special when you kissed me, but I wasn't the first or the only that you had kissed, and I wanted to be. I wanted to be special. Do you love me? I asked again. You took a step closer, our bodies nearly touching. Simultaneously, our eyes turned toward the table, watching the heart as it beat ever so slowly. I prayed silently that the sight of my heart would give you the courage to speak the words I needed to hear. Do you love me? I asked. Perhaps you hadn't heard me before. Then you turned, looked deeply into my eyes, and with a stern, quiet voice, you asked, do you?
Whoa, whoa.
I mean, you have to love yourself, right? First.
If you don't love yourself, ain't nobody else gonna do it. Oh
Right.
my gosh.
Can't do it.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
Wow. This is what one of the person has said, Laura Leak. She says, wow, Cynthia Carlisle Fields is so powerful. Yeah, you are. That's why you're my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So now we're going to share another video. Again, you know, these are all my favorites. This is Joseph Solomon. And if you're following me on my Facebook Wholesome WordZ page, you'll see him all the time. And so, yeah, it's my favorite, A Shadow of a Doubt.
Joyful, joyful Lord, we adore thee, God of glory, Lord above. Hearts unfold like flowers before thee, open to the sun above. Above the clouds of sin and sadness, drive the dark of doubt away. Giver of immortal gladness, fill us with the light of day. Oh, melt the clouds of sin and sadness, drive the dark of doubt away. I remember my little niece ran up to me and told me, "We learned about Jesus today." I could tell by her smile, she was so excited to learn about this man she did not quite know yet, but she knew without a doubt for it to be true, because after all, Mommy said so. That was the first time in my life that I looked into the eyes of a child and envied them, because she had no idea of what it feels like to doubt, or what it feels like to have your entire belief system overload with skepticism, to never know the day you would finally be able to live beyond the shadow of a doubt. I've lived in this darkness for so long, it seems I have all the right questions, never enough answers, and my faith is small enough to fit in the cracks of my palms. God, every night I lay my head down to sleep, the city of my mind is attacked by a legion of questions, threatening the living rooms of my sanity and holding them hostage. God, can you help me? I remember my grandmother laid in a hospital bed like a bus stop for God to come pick her up. I had never seen such pain and such confidence living in the same two eyes when she told me, "I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know who I belong to." And I was so happy for her. And something inside of me wished that somehow before she passed away, she could pass down her confidence in God to me like an old family picture. I remember sitting in the back row of a cold sanctuary crying because I desperately wanted what the preacher was saying to be true, but my doubts were preaching a sermon of their own, and the streams of my tears turned into oceans of frustration. I remember sitting in a college classroom, and the only thing being tested is my faith in God. The only thing passing is my hope. Me, in a backpack full of fear, nowhere to go, no one to help me unpack. I sleep, but I never rest. And these lines around my eyes are not wrinkles, they are maps. They show you the winding road that leads to my pain. I'm tired. God, I'm tired. And I'm longing for the day that I can place my fingers in his nail-pierced hands, because honestly, I've considered quitting, but where will I go? Back? There's no home for the living in the land of the dead, so I keep pressing forward. Today I have faith, but I can't make any promises about tomorrow. I'm surprised I've held on this long. God, just make me feel like I'm not crazy. God, let me know I'm not just making friends with these walls when I pray. God, I'm not questioning you. I just got questions. God, don't leave me here. God, don't leave me. Just smell the clouds of sin and sadness. Drive the dark of, drive the dark of, drive the dark of. God, drive the dark of doubt away. My child, my child, my child, when it seems you have all the right questions and never enough answers, and your faith is small enough to fit in the cracks of your palms, I told you that faith the size of mustard seeds can rearrange whole landscapes and turn mountains into open highways. Faith comes by my word, so maybe you cupped your ears. My child, don't be childish, but consider the child whose faith has not quite learned the definition of impossible. Have your questions. I'm not telling you to have a blind faith. I'm telling you to consider the blind men who had faith and believed my words before they were even able to see me. Consider the birds that eat from my hand and do not fall from the sky without my consent. So how much more will I love the ones that I died for? Before you doubt me, doubt your doubts. And you will see, I will show you that they are as empty as the tomb that I walked from. Truth is, you know I'm here. You know my truth and you're scared. You're scared of what that means. Scared of what that should cost you. That one day they will all laugh you right out of their classrooms and scorn you out of their courtrooms. But my love serves as an eviction notice to anxiety. When they cast stones, my love casts out fear. I am the author and finisher of your faith. I've never started a work that I will not finish. I am the one who will give you courage to stare death in the face and say, I dare you try to scare me. I know who I belong to. And when it feels you are drowning in a sea of your own questions, just know I'm there. I'm there. Like when I drowned in the Red Sea of my blood for you, and these hands that took holes will hold you. And when I told you that I would love you forever, I meant it. Don't you see these rings in my hands? See, we are married. For better or for worse, through sickness and in health, through faith and through questions, till death brings us closer. You are mine, you are mine, you are mine, you are mine, you are mine. And I am yours. I promise.
Beautiful. That's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, that is why he's my favorite. Oh my gosh, Joseph Solomon is just amazing. He's a part of the Poets in Autumn. So if you're looking to say, well, where can I get some more of that? They have a website. They actually travel around. They actually have a great cause that they're working on. But I simply love him. He's Preston Perry's there among some other of my favorites. But that's for another time. So Cynthia, we have our friends, Emily and Rich Kirkpatrick, and they are, I know, I'm so excited. They are a daughter and father worship team based out of Southern California. If you know liturgy, you will recognize it right away in their songs. If you don't, they introduce you to something lyrically anchoring, yet sung in modern musical voice. Uniquely, their songs bring a bridge both to generations and the history of Christian worship. I am super excited because they just launched this new music video that they started called In the Silence. If you've been watching our events, they did this piece live, OM to the G. It was amazing. So I love for everyone to see the premiere. I get to premiere this on Wholesome WordZ, a beautiful liturgy in the silence.
After thunder, after earthquakes, Elijah listened for you. Loud and shaking, rocks were breaking, but no words were coming through. Let me be still. Let me be still and find you. And find you. In the silence, I hear to awaken me. So now I'm waiting, whispers echo, still and quiet. I am here in the roaring of the fire, through the clamor and noise. We don't hear what we desire, the sound of your holy voice. Let me be still. Let me be still and find you, and find you. In the silence, I hear you speak. In the darkness, you awaken me. So now I'm waiting, whispers echo, still and quiet. I am here. Will I be present in this moment and behold your sacred throne? Free from the chatter and the ruckus, oh, your love will call me home. Will I be present in this moment and behold the sacred throne? Free from the chatter and the ruckus, oh, your love will call me home. In the silence, I hear you speak. In the darkness, you awaken me.
Wow. Rich and Emily, if you're watching, that was awesome. That was awesome. Oh my gosh. You can go to abeautifulliturgy.com. They're on Spotify, they're on iTunes, they're all over the place, and they're amazing. There are some other great songs that they have, and I really think that as we get close to the Advent time of the holidays that are coming up, that, I mean, this is just like one of those perfect songs. And they're super busy because I know they'd be on, but I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for letting me do this. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I know Cynthia had posted it and I'm like, we're going to play this. She goes, oh my gosh, thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. And they're an amazing creatives that just pour their heart into everything they touch. So look them up. A beautiful liturgy. I always mess that up. I don't know why, but I do. But okay, Miss Cynthia, you loved it too, didn't you, girl?
I loved it. I loved it. It's been just, one of those songs that stick with you. You just find yourself singing it if you don't know the words.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. So, yeah, look them up. Okay, Miss Cynthia. And for those that are out there, if you have comments or you have questions for Cynthia, you can drop it in the post either on YouTube or on Facebook. Whatever you post, it will show up on my Facebook link. So hopefully there's some parties going on. But if you have some questions, drop them in and then I'll post them on our broadcast. So let us know you're out there.
I have a question for you, Joanne.
Yes.
Because I see that, I know that Wholesome WordZ is such a necessary outlet for creatives. What do you find is your biggest challenge in finding outlets as a creative for yourself, and why you were drawn to create this platform?
I think I've always had it was kind of hard for me to, as I talk about growing up as a creative, and I would see and hear things differently, and I thought I was weird, and I would keep my weirdness to myself. And as I realized that I was able to do things that I didn't understand, how come I was able to do them, for the sake of Christ or sharing the gospel, I just started to just grow on it. And I'll tell you, I didn't believe that there was such a thing that you would serve God with creativity and stuff like that. So I had rough waters, not understanding the gifting and stuff. And so for those that don't know, yes, I'm a theologian and I graduated from Fuller Theological Seminary, and they have this amazing program that, you know, God just timed it up when he talks about there's a perfect time, which was called Worship Theology in the Arts. And probably one of the best things that I ever did in my life was go and be exposed to out of the box worship experiences. And with any type of training that you have, it is easy to say, let me try this at home, or let me try this in my home church. And I did, and I started to grow. And so I have friends and mentors all around the world that have kind of created this. And I love it. But I also know and remember what it was like to be on the other side, not knowing, is this something God would even like? So, or approve of, because it's not like you're the missionary, or it's not like you're the preacher, teacher, and all the different things. No, you're given a greater thing that I've learned. And so I want to be that open door. I want to be that place for people who are young or old. It doesn't matter when you realize that your art matters to God. And that language, I believe that creatives and art is a language that is spoken. And I've proven it over and over. And those that know me as a choreographer, and those that know me as a spoken word artist, and those that know me as original playwright, etc., they leave changed. They come in one way, but they hear a word and they're changed. And I know it's not me. I know that it's God. And this Wholesome WordZ has kind of evolved from the time that God kind of put me out more into the community. But every time I've hosted it or just followed what he's asked me to do, there's always one person who says, I think she's talking about me. Well, let me try this. Let me try that. So, excuse me, over the last couple of months, there's all kind of different people that are coming in, trying to learn, trying to be exposed, which is one of the things why we started Words and Beats, because there are artists that are really good and we feature that. And there are those that are storytellers, whatever. So this is kind of like a training ground, kind of like we talk about unsung. So I feel it's important for those that don't know that they may be purposed, as you said, or called to share their gifts and talents in this way or in a creative way. And so majority of my friends are all Christian creatives. I love it. And now there's I guess, and I hate to use the word labeling or title or whatever, but it actually allows you to think that creativity, which the main creator, of course, is God. He created the heavens and the earth and everything else. That if you really follow the pattern of a lot of the things that he's done, he starts off as a creator and went with creativity.
Right. Well, you figure the world and mankind was the best and biggest creation ever.
Ever.
So Right.
ever. I do have a question for you, Cynthia. I think this is a question. It's from Andy. Hi, Andy. I know you're out there. She's asking you, how old were you when you started writing?
Woo. Wow. Let's see. I've probably been writing at least since third grade. So so that's what, seven-ish, eight-ish, nine-ish. So 20 years. I'm 27 now. So
Go, girl. And look fab. You look fab, girl.
yeah, all my life really. I don't remember a time when I was not writing.
Wow. That's kind
So
of.
I originally started writing stories based off of TV shows, what I saw on TV, not realizing that that was actually a genre of writing. I just would watch something on TV and I would write my own ending to those stories.
Oh, wow.
For my next episode. That's how I got started. And it wasn't until probably 5 or 6 years ago that I realized and learned that that's actually a genre called fan fiction.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Yes, because you are an award winner, right? Didn't you win an award for that?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, the Derek Morgan Chronicles.
Right.
Wow. Okay. Well, we talk about creatives and those that are maybe hesitant to share. What would you share with those who are maybe on the fence and just not sure? And they're like, well, that's what they said, but I don't know. What would you share with them?
I would tell them to just do it. Just step out there, dip your toe in the water and try it. If it's something that brings you joy and peace in your spirit, then that's what you're supposed to be doing.
It's like a telltale sign.
Right. And if you feel like empty, relieved, or at peace after you've written something, or you've danced, or you've sung, then that's what you're supposed to be doing. I think the Lord has put something in us to let us know. It's that peace, it's that joy that you get.
Yeah.
After you've done something or you've completed something that's creative. I think all of us have at least a little bit of creativity in us. There's just some of us that just have it just overflowing, that it's our whole entire being is to create something. So that's what I would tell them. If there's a particular field that you want to create in, I would tell them to study that field. If you're a little leery about stepping out in front doing it, I would tell them to study the industries. Look at people who are already doing what you're interested in doing and seeing what they're doing and how they're doing, what's on trend right now. And if that matches up with what you want to do, or at least gives you some knowledge, then, knowledge is power. But that's my first thing, is really research the industry that you want to be in. A lot of people want to write, but their writing skills may be weak, or their grammar may be weak. And all of that is a part of writing. People want to be screenwriters, but if you have typos in every other word, you're not good. I don't care how good your article, your script is, it's not going to ever be seen. So you have to really be in tune to what the industry standard is. And when you are, then you know how to be that next best thing, where you don't always have to necessarily be following, but you can eventually be leading to that next idea.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. So I know I've been encouraging, and Cynthia's encouraging, and actually kind of how we met was at church.
Mhm.
And I think I was running around with her nephew, and we were talking about some pie man or whatever, but our spirits connected, and we recognized the creativity in each other. And then from that, we just grew from, let's try this. So I remember I wrote a play called At the Kitchen Table. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And so this is a true story. Cynthia, I said, okay, it's a story of women, and they've been friends for forever, but there's a secret that they all have kept from each other for years. And the night that they come together, I mean, it hits the table. And I remember Cynthia saying, no, what do you want me to do? I can't remember any of this. And
Right.
so Cynthia, she had me dying laughing because she swore she couldn't remember past 2 words.
Right.
And she actually stole the show, Miss I don't know how to act or whatever. But so again, like Cynthia was saying, just try. And I know I would say, Cynthia, you can do it. You can. Here's little cheater ways for you to do stuff. And as it evolved and as the characters got into who they were, it was an amazing story, an amazing time for people who weren't professional actors or, had any type of stage background or anything. And it was a good performance. But and Cynthia's right. She's right. I know you remember at the kitchen table.
Oh, yes, definitely. It's funny because it really was a springboard for a lot of other things that
Yes.
including organics.
Right.
I think it really was a springboard for that. And that ensemble type cast feel very simplistic type staging that sometimes gets in the way, but we were just at that table. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So we're hoping that you guys stay tuned to Cynthia's information and my information. Hopefully organics will be back up. This girl, she has just messed up so many things, but I'm tackling this first, and then maybe I'll expand back and see how we can maybe do something.
Well, I thought of something we could actually do at the kitchen table in the same format.
You want to?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you guys stay tuned. I don't know
do
this, but I got to stir up my other actors. But I think you're right. I think they'd like to do this.
Yeah, you can do it. This format, this right here, it lends itself to that at the kitchen table script.
I need to do something new. Yeah. Okay, I'm so excited. I'm gonna contact all those guys and see what they do. But it's an amazing show, and it definitely has a good message about women.
Right.
Okay, so Cynthia, you have another poem. Talk about "I am the one" affirmation. I am a gift.
Yes, and and I think that's it in a nutshell. We as women have to remember that just who we are, that we are a gift, that we were created, we're a gift. We have to feel the importance of our creation and that it was a purposeful creation. It wasn't just, I just need a person to fill this spot on earth. No, it was purposeful. And this particular woman is talking to a man who she knows in her spirit that she was created for. But if he didn't realize it, that's okay. Her life was still going to go on. And so it's called I Am the One. I am the one you dreamt of. And when you became a man, I am the one you prayed for. Your pleas to the Lord spoke me into existence, and I am here. Every king desires a queen, but what will he do when she comes? I am the one conceived and birthed from my mother's womb to birth your future. Why do you look at me and not know me? How can you see the promise and run? Every king must be fearless, willing to do battle for what is his. I am the one who has loved you, waited for, and cried when you called me by another's name. I want to come home to that place in your heart that has never been lived in. My king would receive me with open arms and a smile. You are the one that belongs to me, ordained and created, but will you accept the gift? Don't you remember the pleas and the prayers? God heard and he answered. Where is your courage and where is your sword? The demons are waiting to be slaughtered, for they too need a king. I stand before you, arms open with a smile, and you know who I am. I am the one, a manifestation of your dreams and your prayers. I beseech you to take my hand, greet me with a smile, and welcome me home.
I love it. Yeah, put myself on mute. I love it.
Mhm.
Again, just poignant to the part, and I like how it's framed in the one of the selections that you've given.
Mhm.
All kind of have the same point of women looking at themselves look differently and feeling valued.
Right.
And I think a lot of women, period, see them as a subservient, and they don't see themselves as you've described in the poetry. It's just
Right.
amazing.
And I think that women have to see their value at standing alone, not attached to anyone or anything. Just who you are in yourself, in your being, in your authentic self. You are enough. You are valuable. Not who you're married to, dating, who you want to be with. It's just who you are is God has created you as great.
Yeah. And we are great.
Yeah.
There you have it. Okay, well, Cynthia, you started something which I thought was really kind of cool, and it's called Writer's Stew. Could you share what that is? And
Yeah, Writer's Stew is a Facebook page that allows creatives to, it actually allows creatives exposure. For instance, if you've written a book, if you're writing a book, if you've made a music video, for instance, if you join that page, then you can post it there. You can let us know what you're doing. And it's an opportunity to just really get some very important exposure, because it's so hard, it's so difficult to really get the word out about what you're doing as a creative. So that's kind of why I do that. I also like to post information of upcoming opportunities, events, information, contest, anything, publishing opportunities with publishing companies, things like that. So that's what that page is for.
that is amazing. You're so, I love it. 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 Okay. We have a couple more poems from Cynthia. I love them all. I get to work with her, so you can see how much fun we have. And when we're not doing this, we're like giggling and all kinds of other stuff. But you guys almost got us there to do that.
No.
But she has another poem that she's going to share called A Letter to the One I Love. Could you talk about that before you do it?
You know what? I think I'm just going to read it first.
Okay.
And just at the end, maybe then we'll just talk about it. If people that are listening, you have comments that you might want to read, because I think I think it has more impact if I read it first.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Okay. It's called A Letter to the One I Love. Beloved, I pray that this letter finds you well. First, I want to thank you in advance for taking the time to read this letter. You didn't have to, because I know you're busy trying to chase that dream that for so long has been deferred. I so admire your belief in that dream and how you refuse to let the naysayers trick you into believing that you can't have that which your heart desires. I know it's hard sometimes keeping the faith strong and pushing ahead. God has given you everything you need to see what others may not yet. You are important to me, and I haven't always shown you the love you deserve. I've kept you up much too late and gotten you up much too early and fed you the scraps from the table of strangers. I forgot to treat your body like the temple that it is, God's gift, deserving of care, loving care, love. For this, I am so sorry. Wonderfully and marvelously made by the very hands of God. I didn't always regard your skin as beautiful, sprinkled with cocoa brown beauty marks passed down from your mother. You always felt ashamed, so you covered them and prayed no one would ask about them. Made by God's hands. You are good enough, just as you are. The curves of your hips, the unruly wave of your hair is good enough. God did this because he saw a beautiful caramel black girl in his mind's eye. And so he made you God's hands. Each twist, bump, wrinkle, he did this. You. I should have told you it was okay, that what you saw in the mirror each day, you studied yourself, and so many times you did not approve. And I stood with you in silence as you accepted the critical evaluation of yourself. God's hands, his handiwork. No mistakes, because he just doesn't make them. So you've had your heart broken on more than one occasion. Still, you secretly, though silently, pray that by some chance, love will find its way to you. You've convinced yourself that it's you. Not worthy, not good enough, not likable or lovable. Convinced that a man could see your flaws instantly at first glance. And so it made perfect sense to you why you were alone. God did not make you to be alone. His hands. Whew, mercy. I should have told you that it was all a lie, but I neglected you because I was afraid. And again, I stood by while you cried yourself to sleep night after night and woke up with tear-stained cheeks morning after morning. I'm so sorry for not taking care of your heart. Now it's time for me to make amends. It's never too late to get it right. And since I know that you possess within you the power and wisdom to forgive, I'm asking you for another chance to be the person that God made me to be in your life. You are a queen. You're special and you're unique. So much so that when God made you, he only made one. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to be the best you. God loves you. He has breathed a purpose into your existence that does not include failure, my dear precious woman. Take hold of his hand. It's here. I know you can feel it. Open your heart first to him. And then just you wait and see what the God of all things good will do for you. I've got to go now, for you see, I'm busy too. I hope you read these words and take them to heart. Remember, I love you without question or reservation, boldly and without shame. No, it's not pride or arrogance. It's simply assurance. Because I know that what lies ahead of is nothing that God has not already given you the tools to handle. Please keep me in your prayers, and you will be in mine, loving you just because me.
Wow.
So it's a love letter
To
you.
yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it, when I was listening to it, I'm like, this is really powerful because so many times, again, we've shared before about not loving ourselves for who we are and doing that comparison to Carolyn says, snap, snap, snap. Love you, Carolyn. We like you. That we give so much away that our value is sometimes just under demise, and we don't see that. And being a creative woman, it's even more because we're sensitive to different things that we see because we experience life and hear and see things differently. Right. So that's for me.
It's funny because we dodge a lot of arrows during the day.
Yeah.
And bullets and all that kind of stuff, but we're the shooters. We're the ones
standing in the mirror, bam.
Yeah. Yeah. We're the ones that are just have nothing nice to say to and about ourselves. And so we need to change that.
Yeah, if we do collectively.
Yeah.
So
And each other, because, you know, just can you imagine if every woman really took care of each other, our hearts, the friendships and the relationships, how much power
there is.
there is. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that took me back to organics, making of the woman. Just seeing the different generations of women that shared a different story, and you know, again, those voices finally being heard. And I remember our first time we did it, I think it was at your church, and one of the ladies said, "You got to take me home right now. I got to take care of business right now. I got to take care of business right now. No, we can eat later, but I got work to do at home." And so those types of impacts that the arts and creatives can give can send somebody directly home, have a family meeting to stop whatever they saw happening that was real to them.
Right.
And I think that's the power of being a creative and the word of God. It's not like we're going to say, turn to John 3:16, because we're in generations where people don't know who John is and what's 3:16.
Right.
So we need to be specific and direct with the love and how to love. And this last poem pointed to what we're missing and what we could be receiving if we saw that. So, wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so everybody, I have yet another video, and this one is from, she's called Just Amanda, and someone shared this video with me, and when I saw it, I just loved her. And the name of the video that you're about to watch is I Smile, and I think it's kind of fitting, kind of fits into what we've been just talking about. So our next video is I Smile, Just Amanda.
I flex the muscles near both ends of my mouth and I smile. I smile because I'm so proud of the woman I've become. I smile because I now face everything I used to run from. I smile because no weapon formed against me prospers. I smile because everything that tried to conquer me, I conquered. I smile because I didn't get bitter, I got better. I smile because God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, and I'm in the whosoever. I smile because I've been hurt in relationships and I got through it. I smile because I no longer cower when I see a mountain, now I speak to it. I smile because I have a beautiful daughter, whom of which reminds me daily of God's grace. I smile because everything I thought was a loss, God replaced. I smile because I know the stone throwers hate it. I smile because I am fearfully and wonderfully created. I smile because I don't want my haters to ever think they have an effect. I smile because God has been so good to me the last time I checked. I smile because I'm blessed from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. I smile because I know God to be a keeper, and I'm thankful to him for keeping me. I smile because I've released all the negative people in my life out. I smile because no matter how much I've been through, I still have an excessive amount to smile about. I smile because I didn't get infected. I smile because God's grace and mercy covered me when I went unprotected. I smile because I didn't get what I deserved. I smile because when I couldn't find comfort in man, I found peace in the word. I smile because there was a time when I couldn't look at my reflection. I smile because now I embrace all my imperfections. I smile because I'm one of God's most precious jewels. I smile because he transformed all my enemies into footstools. I smile because God's love has no conditions. I smile because the sun has risen. I smile because he saved my life. So when you see me smiling, know that I have joy, and it's only because I endured through the night. I smile.
I smile. I love her. She has some other amazing pieces,
Yeah.
but yeah, Just Amanda is, yeah, I love her. I love, she's probably going to be one of my favorites now. You know how that goes. You know. Okay. Being that you're a writer and an author, I understand you have a couple of books that are out there, right?
I do, just a couple.
That's a couple.
A couple. The very first one is called In My Mother's Shoes, and it's a collection of poems written kind of like in dedication in my mom's memory. And then my latest one is Messages to the Woman in the Mirror, both available on Amazon.com.
Okay, and there they are. Okay, I love it. Okay, so people can get them on Amazon.com. And what inspired you to do the Message with the Woman in the Mirror?
Well, originally, I thought I was writing kind of like a one-woman stage production. And so that's how it started. That's how I wasn't planning on writing a book. And so when I started doing that, life was happening around me, things were going on. And so that project was kind of put on hold. Then fast forward probably 2 years, I'd written all of this poetry. And then I said, okay, I'm going to write a book. And so I had been making a lot of posts on Facebook, kind of like called Message to the Woman in the Mirror.
Yes, you did.
And I kept getting requests from people that liked those posts. You should write a book. You should write a book. And so I said, maybe I should. Then I realized that my posts on Facebook were so tied in to those poems that I had been writing, for several years on the same theme. And so then I realized that's the message God has been giving me, dealing with women's issues for the past probably 5 or 6 years or more.
Yeah.
So it became a book. It was the next logical step. And so that's really how it happened.
So
I had actually written a play, actually another play that was supposed to be performed in March, but it was based on some of these poems. But again, COVID.
That girl, that COVID girl, she gotta go. She got to go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we can find your beautiful work on Amazon.com, and they would just look under Cynthia Carlisle Fields.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because those are I remember the days of Messages to the Women on Facebook, and I would love it because I'm like, girl, I got the truth, and I put my little comment in there and stuff. And then I have another friend that Miss Angela Marilyn Mooring.
Right.
I call her Marilyn, so Angela is not the name I call her, but she's my sister, and she had started writing something notes or something like
Note
that.
to self, or was it Note to Self or
Notes to Self? Yes. She started, and it was kind of interesting because she was in the same situation, and so there might have been some cross creativity somewhere.
No, because for a little while I used to write Note to Self too. I didn't know her, but then I did some searching. I said, a lot of people, there's other people doing Note to Self. Let me switch up.
Yeah.
Somehow
So she was just writing notes to self because it would just hit her. Something would have had happen, and she would do something. So she's kind of like an undercover creative. And so she's listening. Yes, I said it. And so she is also one of the authors of the Creative Organics The Making of a Woman. And there's some things that Notes to Self is just really powerful. So hopefully I can encourage her to move forward again, to put some of those amazing inspirational thoughts that are healing and make you actually think about, now, what am I doing and why am I doing that? So
Right.
Marilyn, if you're listening, yeah, I said it again.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's not too late. No,
And-
and I have all the information still.
And
Just saying.
and the cool part about it is, like with her work, also with mine, we're not preaching to anyone.
Right.
We're really talking to ourselves.
Yeah, Note to Self. Yeah.
And so hopefully someone, because our journeys are so similar as women, that prayerfully someone will get a message from us talking, having a little mini meltdown and talking to ourselves.
Right. And what's beautiful, again, being a creative, is that we can plant those seeds. We can sow those types of seeds, and somebody somewhere at some point in time, whether it's this lifetime or the next,
Right.
In the future, someone will read it and go, oh my gosh, that really spoke to me. That's the beauty of the arts.
Right.
It's like timeless. Arts is timeless. And that seed is so important, and a lot of times people take that for granted. But you can see now that a lot of people who have electronic signatures, they'll have a quote, whether it's Maya Angelou or something like that, because that particular quote is timeless to them, and they're trying to share a different perspective. And again, going back to the beauty of being a creative and having those types of opportunities to share your gifts and talents.
Right.
So yeah. So we're moving on to yet another poem, Hold Back the Night. How would you like it? Would you like to do it first, or talk about it first, or what's your flavor?
Let me see. I think basically what Hold Back the Night is about is just, we're running out of time.
Okay.
I'll say that first, and then maybe that'll make sense at the end of the poem. We can talk about it.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
And it goes, Lord, hold back the night. Its cold hands clasped tightly around our necks. So much assigned to our hands, yet we have not begun, and it's getting dark. Lord, hold back the night, its presence just beyond the horizon, and it's fast approaching. Hands stained with the blood of unsaved souls, our place reserved next to the damned as salvation lays decaying on our silent tongues. Lord, hold back the night. We beseech you for one more chance to shine the light of truth. We are losing the battle on the smoldering wastelands of life, throwing down our weapons in fear, and it's almost midnight. What will we say, O Lord, when you call our names? Our resumes meager at best, squandering the gifts, ashamed and unworthy. Still we plead, Lord, hold back the night. Your son's life lost in vain. It seems so long ago we pretend not to remember what it all meant, casting our stones at the memory of it all. Lord, we beg for one more chance, begging that you not remove your hand. Instead, we plead for what we do not deserve. Our sinful souls cry out once again, Lord, hold back the night.
Yeah, I know. I forget to turn it on. Sorry, guys. But it's just so powerful. It's just it just takes you there. I mean, where you can see the darkness and the struggle of it all. I mean, I love the imagery that you use to just share that. It's, just amazing.
my mind went to all after George Floyd was killed and all the protests, all the marching, and people that you never would thought we would see marching, who would probably,
Right.
yeah, and probably in this day and age, we thought reasons to march probably were over. We'd never have to take to the streets again, but we're there.
Yeah.
We can no longer be silent.
No.
We can't do it.
And it has to be a consistent ringing in everyone's ears until it matters.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, well, I have another video, another new favorite. If you've been watching my YouTube, my live streams, her name is AI Anomaly, and she talks about living water, and she's just her technique and how she uses imagery, as we've been talking about. You'll see. This is AI Anomaly, living water.
Ay, 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 ay. Look at the way that they move, look at the things that they do, follow the thrill. Blinded the wheel, but pushing the pedal. I chauffeured the devil, I rode in the meadow, the valley of shadows. I twisted the scripture so I could feel better. No shame in that living, I rode in that sin, unashamed of my flesh. Riding the fence, out of you cold. I was lukewarm, I was warned that my lust will be pulled on. Trying to ride with the world since a newborn. Switch whips, got tense, I've been transformed. Them scripts I sip, now my thirst gone. A devil gon' tempt me. Please, I'll be on my Luke 4. I'll be riding with the Lord in my new form. Got a new source, I'm a shoe score. Crossover, smoke past like a Newport. I'll be riding to the horn blow. Take me to the home court. I bring them to the net, bring the fish home. Feed them meat, nut, milk so the fish grow. I'ma lead them to the well, let them ride on their own. I'ma ride with the Lord till I ride with the Lord. I'ma ride, yeah, yeah. Early on the grind I ride. Schwinn with the bike I glide. Quit not me, I tried. Get like me, let's dive. Early on the grind I ride. Schwinn with the bike I glide. Quit not me, I tried. Get like me, let's dive. Living water, living water. Early on the grind I ride. Schwinn with the bike I glide. Quit not me, I try. Get like me, let's dive. Early on the grind I ride. Schwinn with the bike I glide. Quit not me, I try. Living water, living water. That's what I live by. I set in the worst, I settle for worse. I meddle with jerks, I pedal and turn. I live and I learn, I work and I earn. I watch and I see, I listen and lead. Intentions is feed, give and receive. These lessons for free, one blessing I need. Death on a tree, a vessel indeed. Take it from me, put your pride on a leash. Control that thing, earn your keep. Better build your dreams, no rent, no lease. Let's own this thing, let's get it, let's keep. Yeah, yeah. Early on the I Schwinn with the I quit now, I get like this. Early on the grind I ride. Schwinn with the bike I glide. Quit not me, I try. Get like me, let's. Living water, living water. Living water, living water. That's what I live by. Living water, yeah. Living water, yeah. Early on the grind, alright. Schwinn with the bike, I cry. Quit like me all night. Yeah, like me, like I. Roll on the grind, like I. Quit not on my eye. Quit not me, I try. Yeah, like me, like I.
I love her.
Excellent.
Yeah. I forgot how I found her, but she is she's deep with her poetry, and she has a website and she's on Facebook and YouTube. And if you want to know more about her, her poems make you really look at where we are as a society and some of the same things that we're talking about right now. So when I was going through which videos I would select, kind of based on the poetry that you shared, Cynthia, it just seemed like it was just so fitting, just like I Smile. And He Is Here from Amina Brown. And so these are women that are using their gifts and talents to, again, plant a seed, sow a seed for someone to hear God maybe in a different way. And I think Wholesome WordZ has that legacy and trait that people hear God differently and they chew on it and it sticks with them and they're like trying to figure out, well, why is this? And so sometimes it's just God trying to get your attention.
Yes, definitely.
And so I'm excited that this particular time spent with Cynthia, I get to think about at the kitchen table on a virtual event. Woo, woo.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
definitely work because it's the friends.
Yeah, it could really work. Yeah, I think since I've kind of mastered a couple of different new technical stuff, I've kind of mastered different things that this could possibly play out, actually.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It'll work. It'll work.
Yeah, I just need to get my people
back together.
Get the whole gang back together. Wouldn't that be amazing? Oh,
that's how I really got to know, or for the first time, Emily. Because remember,
Emily took over for Kim.
Right, at the very last minute, and she was amazing.
Yeah, this little girl, Emily Kirkpatrick, if you're listening, that's actually kind of how I met Emily as well. We have a dear friend named Kim Rochelle, and she had some medical issues, and she was down for the part, and she was so ready for it. And then she got this medical report and she's like, I can't, I'm going under surgery. And so I won't be able to do this. And so Kim tried to come thinking maybe she could hold on to the last minute. So about maybe 2 to 3 weeks before we were going to do this, Emily just raises her little hand and says, I'll do it. And she was like the baby of the group, but that little girl, oh my goodness. That little girl had lines. You talk about paragraphs and paragraphs, but she got all that down in less than 2 weeks.
Yes.
And she was amazing. And so of course that budded the friendship and stuff like that. But that's what the arts can do for you. Yeah, so at the kitchen table, and again, organics actually sprung from that, like Cynthia had mentioned before, with Arwen Jameson, Emily Kirkpatrick, Kim Rochelle Allen, Anissa Vincent, who else?
Shayna.
Shayna Fluellen, and who else do we have? You. Yeah. Yeah, so there were 6 women. It's a fabulous, so when we do it, we'll definitely do it large and everybody will know. Either Salt and Light or Wholesome WordZ, one of those bundles.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Yeah. So we talked about how people can reach you. And now I know that you offer services through Patreon for persons maybe interested in becoming an author. Could you talk about that?
Well, basically with the Patreon is I'm just basically posting my writings.
Oh, okay.
Now I do work with people who want to write or publish, and I've done a lot of mentoring, a lot of training. So yes, I am definitely available for that. And
so they can reach you on social media, Writer Stew.
Writer Stew, they can hit me up there. My email address is cynthialfields@yahoo.com. You can send me an email. You can also hit me up on Facebook. I'm just not real good at checking those messages. Really horrible, but I'll keep my eye open, do a little bit better. But I've had an opportunity to just meet a lot of people of all ages who've wanted to write books. So that's what prompted me to have the writers conference last year. And so I purposely kept it small because I wanted to be able to get that kind of one-on-one feel. And so I challenged all of those writers that attended to publish. And they've all, without exception, have now published their first books. In fact, one has just published her second.
At least. Yeah. So is it like a 2-day conference or a weekend conference or one day? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, the first one was just one day. And we just talk about some real basics of writing, how to get into publishing, writer's block, different things like that, different types of publishing, really what you need to, keep in mind when you want to write, when you want to publish, that type of thing. And it's really kind of an encouraging atmosphere to basically let people know you can do it. It's not brain surgery, but it's once you publish, if that's what you want to do, it's really an amazing feeling to get that work out there in the air, and it's amazing. As you said earlier, I had planned for this year as well in August, but our
girlfriend COVID.
Yeah, girlfriend COVID said no. And so in fact, and that was going to be a larger scale. We were actually going to have it at the convention center, San Diego Convention Center. And so they were forced to cancel all of their events, and then one of my event happened to be one of those events that was canceled. But we had industry leaders coming to speak as special guests, people that are actually out there in all aspects of creativeness. And they were going to come and, sit on a panel for us, but we had to cancel.
That COVID girl.
Yeah.
I'll be glad when she's gone.
Me too.
I really will.
Yeah.
I really will. Okay, well, we're down to the very last one that Jaleisha gave me.
Okay.
And before you do it, I just wanted to say thank you for being my guest. This has been so much fun. I miss you. I could say we need to do something. So I'm glad you gave me at the kitchen table to figure out something creatively and virtual and bringing the old gang back together. I think that this is fabulous. But I wanted to thank you for your friendship and our creativity that we share in organics. And I look forward to working with you on some other exciting projects fairly soon. So thank you so much for what you do.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, because I know a lot of people that could have been here instead of me. And so I appreciate the opportunity. And we have had a lot of creative fun and hitting the road on road trips and all that good stuff to see what other people were doing creative.
Yes, I missed that. That's what that COVID girl did. I can't stand her.
Yeah.
She just messed up a lot of fun stuff.
But that's okay. It just causes us to shift and make some changes and being creative in how do we be creative. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last piece that you're going to share is called Deception.
Yes. And deception is just another conversation in the mirror, where we get up in the morning and just stand flat-footed in front of that mirror and just be honest. That's what it's about.
Okay.
I stood at the sink, facing the mirror, terrified at the unfamiliar face looking just as terrified back at me. It had been a long while since the two of us had spoken to one another. Looking ahead and bending down, I tried desperately to wash the taste of last night's truths from my mouth. The bitter taste, like the leftovers from a heavy meal, had thickly coated my tongue, and I used it as an excuse not to speak. I continued to look. I hated what I saw, had always hoped of being more. Still, I wanted nothing to do with the truth. What had I done to find myself here alone and disgusted? There was nothing to say. Apologies seemed so vain, so futile, such a waste of time. Yet I needed to speak the words. I owed you that much. I struggled to look again at you, still a stranger, still demanding answers from me. I'm sorry. There, just a whisper, but the slight flinch told me that you'd heard. I'm sorry. A little louder this time. You didn't believe it, neither did I, since I was never one to apologize, never one to back down or step up. It was a fact, my truth, right there in front of me, and I couldn't deny it. I've treated you poorly. I was supposed to be your best friend and you mine. I denied you and mistook you for the enemy, shooting first and watching you fall dead at my feet. Please forgive me, I shouted, and my tears filled the sink before me. Blood and tears, tears and blood, mine, yours, ours. I faced you, the terror fading but still present. I saw the slight relief on your face too. This had been long overdue, and it felt good to talk again. I love you, and I need you now more than ever to be my sister, my confidant, and my best friend again. Let's keep in touch.
This mic is killing me, but I love it anyway. Well, let's keep in touch. Yeah, that's wow.
Yeah.
I don't know, just again, poignant and just to the heart of a value, how we just don't value ourselves.
Right.
And that's a deception.
Yeah.
Deception comes from definitely not God. So
Right.
What we buy into and what we say.
Yeah, I mean, we're speaking it out of our own mouths, and that's the heartbreaking part about it.
Andy said, "Snap, snap." Thanks, Andy. Yeah. Okay. Well, we just have one more video, and again, I want to thank my girl Cynthia Fields for being on Wholesome WordZ Live. Again, if you want to get in contact with her, you can find her on Facebook and LinkedIn and all those other social media things. But I'm just blessed and honored to be able to work together as a creative friendship and partnership. We've created a couple of different productions that we haven't even done.
Right.
But I think we can revisit at the kitchen table a night of life issues.
You can.
And see how we can make that magic happen. So again, I thank you. We're going to close out. I'd like to thank my co-partner in crime, the framework, Mr. Craig Carlisle. If you're interested in submitting information to Words and Beats, Words and Beats at theframework.com. And yeah, we're trying to inspire and get people engaged with some of the gifts and talents that they may have ignored or didn't even know that it would be something that someone would want to hear them say. So I'm available. Wholesome WordZ is my page I hang out with. I do have another page, Salt and Light Arts, which is probably my my pioneer page when I was playing around, and I actually have a website. But check us out if you want to share this video, because I feel that it was really well done, that it'll be available, and share with your friends. And so again, I invite those maybe that are like, I don't know, hit me up on Facebook Messenger, and I'll be happy to talk to you and work with you to maybe get you past a couple of jitters and get your feet wet in a safe ground. Wholesome WordZ is a safe place for you to share.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to encourage anyone that's listening. And Cynthia, do you have any closing remarks that you would have?
Just kind of ditto with what you were saying. If you want to try, take a stab at it. Submit your work to Joanne, to Wholesome WordZ, or her Facebook page. My thing is, if you have a dream, there's not an age on it, there's not a color on it, and there's not a size on it. If you want it, you go for it. God has given you already everything that you need to go after your dreams. Don't let anyone tell you that you're not good enough, because you are. And so that's mainly what I would say.
Yeah, and dreams don't expire. So
exactly.
Like
Exactly.
you're never too young, you're never too old. The dreams die when, I guess, you're in the coffin. So when you take your last breath and you haven't done one thing, then that dream is dead. You're right. But if you're still breathing, and I think there's a lot of breathing going on here, then give it a try. It will bring life to you when you find what your niche is and how you can better help the world through Wholesome WordZ or something else. But give it a try. I like to thank all of my artists that submitted things. Andi, I know you're still listening, so thank you. I look forward to working with you. And of course, Emily and Rich Kirkpatrick. Again, if you missed In the Silence, you can find it on YouTube or Spotify or iTunes. It is a song for this season, and I think that it's an uplifting one that brings you into worship. So I'd like to thank everybody. We're going to close out on this video. And so again, thank you, Cynthia. And I look forward to sending out this text message that I'm about to hit send on. All right.
There you go.
All right. So the next video is called Come. That's all I'm going to say.
Come. You've asked me to come. Here I am, Lord. Here I am. Forsaking all others, Lord, here I am. Guide me. Direct me. Teach me. Fill me. Hear me. Hear my whispers. Here I am, Lord. Here I am. Use me.